last time we had a bit of a fair share of issues with the X Spaces. We basically had to quit and restart the streams a few times on different accounts. So we figured we wouldn't take any chance this time. So we're testing out a new system. So that's why the stream's a bit different and under a different system than the X broadcast system. So yeah, thanks for joining. And we're basically gonna do a more or less review of the first episode that we did last time, which was on the advent of AI in the blockchain development space and what the implications um, that it causes on just project management, uh, blockchain development, and all the issues that this can bring, but also the speed improvement to develop the development. So. I don't know if Jan or Rube, you guys want to take it from where we left off last time.
Yeah, and I find it funny that we're not taking any chances by using a platform we've never used before. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourselves, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Yanachar. I'm part of the PivX community. PivX is a proof of stake privacy coin, and yeah, eager to discuss the application of LLM to it.
Yeah, and I'm Ruben, the co-founder and project steward of Firo. We're one of the earliest ZK privacy coin, probably the earliest, even 1 month before Zcash. We are behind a bunch of privacy protocols, and the latest one is the Spark, and soon expanding to have private asset support. That means you can create your own assets and have them represented on Firo, and you won't be able to see the amount, the asset type, and all sorts of wonderful privacy things, and that should be coming soon. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Yeah, and CryptoGuard here from both the Particle project and the basic subdex. Particle, we did a decentralized marketplace that allows to buy and sell goods and services for cryptocurrencies without intermediaries. But our main focus right now is sort of doing the basic swap dex, which is a atomic swap powered decentralized exchange where you can exchange coins without intermediaries as well. And eventually the goal will be to merge the two applications together for building a truly decentralized and private ecosystem. And of course, we're happy to have both PivX and Firo and Particle on the basic swap dex. So that's the gist of it.
Yeah, I saw Wizard Swap.
Go ahead, Ruben.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just like not directly on the topic, but I saw that Wizard Swap was interested in having basic swap integrated with them. I was wondering if there was anything you could share publicly on that, or is that all still just like work in progress? Yeah.
Yes. No, it's a work in progress. We're probably going to be doing some more official announcements quite soon. We're going to the MoneyRockon conference, basically co-sponsoring with Wizard Swap. So I guess you can expect more of an announcement there, but we're basically bridging the liquidity between the two platforms so that liquidity providers on Wizard Swap will have the option to also bridge it on basic swap dex. So the goal being of having tighter spreads and deeper liquidity on the books. So that's pretty cool partnership in my opinion. We'll have some additional liquidity for both the PivX and the Firo coins, but we're basically testing the integration right now with the PivX and Bitcoin pair. And once that's live and nicely tested, we'll be deploying for the other pairs as well.
Oh, that would be pretty exciting.
awesome.
I mean, because like I think one of the big issues has been like, oh, you have to use basic swap and compile it and stuff like that. But if there's like a easy to use front end like Wizard Swap, and that's like all abstracting away all the complexity above atomic swaps, that's going to be really exciting. Yeah.
Well, the goal is to kind of have the more or less one-click solution where you don't have to build it. Of course, maybe for the more purists out there, it maybe introduces a bit of a centralized aspect to it, but I guess it's just more options for people to deal with their own preferences.
Yep. Yansha, do you want to start the topic? I don't know who picked this topic, but let's go.
Sure, I'm eager to. So, you guys, what would you say you're generally pro AI or anti AI at this point in general, and as it regards private cryptocurrency? Just
I mean, I
interested in
don't.
your take, because there's all kinds of takes out there.
I don't know why anyone would be anti AI, given that, like, this is the reality, right? If you say I don't like AI, it's not like we can choose. Does that prevent
Right. It's like
attackers using
shaking your
AI
fist
against
at the
us?
sky, right?
Yeah, like what are we gonna do, right? Like, oh, I don't like AI, therefore I won't use AI tools to defend against attackers that are already definitely using AI, right? So
Right.
I don't even see why that would be even an argument. I mean, you could say, oh yeah, the use of AI in artwork or something like that. Maybe I can understand that argument a bit better. But when you're talking about using AI to both find vulnerabilities in software and also to patch them, of course, we can be saying, oh yeah, it's horrible that AI is breaking and finding all these vulnerabilities. I mean, like, yeah, I can be upset about it, but you gotta face the reality, man. The
Right. No,
attackers are gonna use the best tools, right? Yeah.
it's true. Right. How about you, Crypto Guard? What's your take?
Yeah, this trend is not stopping. I mean, even if you position yourself against AI, you're gonna have to deal with it one way or the other. I think, however, right now we're kind of in a weird situation where AI is getting good enough in terms of coding to do some amazing stuff, but it's also not, replacing senior devs or good developers to that level. So and we briefly touched on it last time that we did the stream and we talked about the AI, but it's creating kind of an issue right now with project management where you get flooded with lots of bug reports and feature requests that are vibe coded. And, a lot of time they'll look good on their surface, but you'll start to dig into the code and you'll see that it's not, necessarily hyper secure, or there are some assumptions or some holes in the code. So I guess for a lot of the people that manage their projects, it's a bit of an annoying phase right now because it's just sitting in between the two kind of extremes where it's good enough that it's doing something, but it still have a few ways to go. So it's creating lots of problems. I was reading some open source project. I can't recall which one exactly. The project maintainer was saying it's basically almost impossible now to review the pull requests because they're getting so many a day, and a lot of them will just be rejected. So it's no, I'm definitely pro AI. It's just that yeah, I think the phase that we're in right now, it's becoming very democratized. So lots of people are starting to use it. I kind of see a similar um, enjoyment for it compared to the early crypto, where you had lots of people coming into crypto because it was a shiny new thing, but didn't, you know, really know a whole lot of thing about either trading or finance. And then you have a similar kind of movement right now happening with coding because LLMs make it so accessible now that you have lots of people trying to build apps or features, and but they don't have necessarily the experience in software development, so they're missing lots of important aspects in regards to security or just how you should engineer your features. And especially for crypto, I think it's kind of risky because we're dealing with basically real money. um, so yeah, I think it's causing a bit of a difficult situation that I assume eventually will get better.
Yeah, well, I think your baby isn't pro AI just from the sounds of it.
No, I think that's a good take, CryptoGuard. It's amazing with AI is changing so fast. Like you mentioned, we're at this like awkward stage. Everybody can write code, but it's not maybe the quality we would like. We're getting a lot of like attack surface area out there without the same level of protection. It's interesting how AI, kind of every step of the way, there's been like a window or a period where you're like, wow, this is cool and different, and it passes. There was like a stage where you had, the browser, you could cut and paste code into it, and it would like guide you how to fix it, and it'd be very buggy and not even compile. And now it pretty much most of the time compiles. Right now it can look at multiple files. It's like we should appreciate each stage we're at, because it's soon going to be gone, right? Soon the coding is going to be superb if it continues on its current trajectory.
I think one of the
positive on AI as well, like you guys, and I also agree completely with your point that even if you weren't positive on AI, you pretty much have to accept what fate has bound you to, and we're not going to turn it around. It's coming.
I think one really negative thing about AI is, they were actually like talking. I mean, and this is, I guess, a slightly off different point, but they were saying how like the Gen X and the millennials, in terms of human like intelligence, like at least from academic tests and like other kinds of tests that they've been doing, that's like kind of the peak. And since then, now we're starting to see a decline, right? Maybe related to social media, and now I think it's going to be made worse with AI, where these generations are growing up in a world where they can delegate their thinking to AI, and rather than like earlier generations, right, where we live in a world without internet, without AI. So we had to develop these skills. And now that we have AI is a co-author for us, right? We are not delegating thinking to them because, we've been through the hard times without the AI. And I think that's even a bigger issue when you're talking about junior developers. There were some guys that were, they were into music, there were other stuff, and now they want to pivot into software development. And of course, a lot of these people, they're looking for, some entry level jobs. AI is, I think, has come to a point where those entry level jobs, it doesn't make sense to hire someone. Like, how much is the most expensive, the subscription, like $100, $200 or something like that? It's still going to be much cheaper than hiring even a junior developer to do that, right? So as an employer, why would I want to hire a junior developer? There is still definitely a place for senior developers to oversee and kind of like involve AI into their processes and check the work of AI. But if you're just a starting out developer, it's going to be very hard to compete with these systems. And how would the easy way is that, now I'm just going to learn how to code using AI, like kind of semi-vibe code, right? And then you miss out a lot of principles. You don't go through the trial of fire. And I think that's a long-term problem that we're going to be seeing in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that's going to definitely affect development in the long run. Yeah.
Well, I think that like right now, even junior developers at this point in time have something to add to the process. And that's like agents. I don't know if you guys have spun up an agent, with OpenClaw or Hermes, but they, when you start working with one, you definitely notice it's off on like memory, forming new long-term memories. You're working on a coding project, and you're like guiding this agent on what to do. And if it was a person, you learn once, we don't do things that way for this code base, and it's done. But agents don't really learn in the same way long term. Every so often their context window, they run out of space, whatever it is, 1 million tokens, and they have to like compress what goes into their context, and they just don't form memories in the same way. So you need like a human on the team, even though these agents, they have more knowledge than a human, right? They have like the knowledge of 100 people, and they have pretty good reasoning capability, right? They can solve hard math problems and so forth. They just can't get them, they can't work the long-term memory formation in the same way. So right now there is room for a junior developer, but that seems like something that's going to be solved. Like the time frame you gave everyone of like 5 years, surely that is going to be solved in 5 years, and then you just you may not even like need a human on the team for developing.
I think it's already being solved. Like I've seen people like I don't know how to pronounce his name, the Andre Karpati, which is a pretty big AI proponent, but he has like come up with systems to do like memory maps, to actually help the AI like kind of have context and create its own wiki of like memory of things in a linkable way. So it gets
well that's true, and even like OpenClaw, and Hermes have those kinds of frameworks, and so they're working on them. And I agree, they're doing some good things there. It's just not 100% yet, though. I haven't, you are talking about like an advancement I haven't maybe personally tried, but I think it's still an area of work. Ruben, I could be wrong. Maybe it's been solved.
Yeah, I would say even with Cloud Code, which is the probably most expensive subscription for AI right now, especially for AI meant for coding, I think they have a pretty good system that spin different agents and they go look into different aspects of the code base at the same time, and they create nodes on the side for each other, then reconcile into the main nodes of the task that you're doing, and then you can set up some instructions that are project wide with it. So yeah, I think it's something that's probably going to be realistically solved way before 5 years. Time has passed, but to Ruben's point again, yeah, you probably need like someone still to oversee the AI at some point. But the point that we're in right now, or that we're almost in right now, it's probably the either like product designer or project manager that can supervise the AI doing what usually maybe 4 or 5 junior devs would be doing, and you don't need to spend the time to also teach these junior devs to learn about the code base and hold them by the hand, because obviously they're junior devs, so they need a bit of guidance, which obviously the LLMs still need at this point. But I would say one thing I worry about is it's how are we going to be training the new senior devs of the future, because if you're offloading your thinking to the AI, it's kind of becoming almost like you really have to be dedicated to learning about coding if you want to do it, because LLMs make it so easy to just spin up a product or a feature, and then you can kind of read the code diagonally to make sure that it's doing what you intended to do. But as a junior dev, you're probably missing out a lot of the fights that you would normally have to go through in the code to solve a problem, and then you learn from that fight. I would say, that's my main worry about AI and coding, is how are we going to be training the new senior devs of the future if LLMs make it so easy to code, especially thinking like forward. I'm just assuming in 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, LLMs are going to be massively, better than what they are right now. So yeah, that's something that I worry about.
So it's often said that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ruben, please.
So I think like one of the things is that when with AI, it's been said that it is you spend much more tokens. How to say to try to defend, to harden the system than to exploit them. Like it's easier and you spend less tokens to find an exploit rather on how to fix them, and that's already like kind of like a asymmetry, right? Where you can find bugs faster than you can fix them, right? And I don't know if you guys saw this post. I think just posted yesterday by Vitalik, and he talked about the post is called "The Shallow Dive into Formal Verification." And it's generally a formal verification means that you write the mathematical proof that, like for example, in cryptography, right? I create a new cryptography algorithm or like privacy protocol. How do I prove that, that this thing is secure, right? And generally you produce mathematical proofs to prove that this construction is secure. Now he's saying that you can extend this because basically programs are kind of like mathematical stuff, of course, with a few caveats. But then you can also construct basically formal proofs to prove that your application is doing what it's supposed to do, right? Like say, oh yeah, you can't do a man in the middle attack and this sort of things. And obviously, it's like designing the right proof is difficult, but at the same time, AI can assist you with that, and they can basically kind of almost like brute force possible solutions until they find it, because we already have very good verifiers. That means we can verify whether this proof is correct. It's just that these verifiers aren't very good at coming up with a proof. So I guess like for those people who don't don't understand the concepts, I kind of think about it of having like a very anal teacher. The teacher can check your work, but the teacher can't come up with the solution. But then now you have AI that can kind of brute force the solution into like possible ways, and the teacher just says yes, it's right or wrong, right? So I don't know if you guys had the chance to take a look into that. Yeah,
I haven't seen that. It sounds fascinating.
Is this what the simplicity language does, for example, for the liquid stuff on Bitcoin?
No. They were talking about the proof assistance called Lean. I don't know how to pronounce this. Coq, COQ, or something called Isabel. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a coder myself, but I don't think it's anything to do with like liquid or stuff like that. But it's talking about formal verification, which used to be like really hard. Like you have to use like a kind of the hand. You had to kind of construct these proofs by hand, and that used to be like really tough, which is why it wasn't done so much. But now with with LLMs, you can accelerate this process by several magnitudes. So I thought that was an interesting point. It just came out yesterday, so I kind of have to dive into it. But very keen to hear what, especially those of you who do have some coding experience, think of what he says. Right? Yeah.
Well, in the early days of coding, there was like some general thinking. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it was Dijkstra who was a big proponent of this. I may not have that right, but the early guys that thought that coding in general, like you say, it's mathematical. You should be able to prove it's correct and doesn't have bugs. So there was a time in the early days when that was done, and of course, programs, they now get millions of lines of source code, and you can't come close to doing that anymore. There may be some framework by which you can do it. I'll say, there's a famous problem in software development called the halting problem. It turns that was used by Alan Turing to show that not all problems can even be solved by a computer. And the halting problem was the example he used. You can't write an algorithm that looks at general like software source code and tells you whether the program will ever stop or not. You just can't do it. Turns out you can't do it. And it was a big breakthrough at the time, but that would be, it'd have to somehow be more structured than in general, here's this way to analyze software and see if it's going to crash or has bugs, because I think that's like crossing that line into like halting problem type of material that's like computers can't do. But it must be if you put enough structure, I haven't read it, but I look forward to reading it. You put enough structure on the software, you can prove some things about it. It's very interesting. It does seem like LLMs, as they get better and better, they could change the very nature of software development. It's similar to what came up. I went to Consensus in Miami, maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about how AI is changing the business model of the internet, kind of the same way we're talking about it's changing software. And the old business model of the internet, a big part of it is ads, right? Well, ads don't work with agents because agents just don't read the ads. And so you can't run like websites off of ads anymore as agents become more and more popular. So it's a threat to the business model of the internet, which actually means it's a threat to the internet. It was an interesting take that I hadn't seen before. Just so it's, you know, it may be threatening software development. It may be threatening the internet. We don't know how it's all going to turn out. But there was somebody, there was a woman there. She was some CXO at Cloudflare, and she said that one of the big things Cloudflare does is they analyze like who's behind web traffic, and she said that right now over 50% of all HTTP traffic on the internet is AI. It's crossed that threshold. And somebody else, I don't think it was her, said that like commerce is close to 25% AI. And it's just a few years out. If you project along trends, it's going to be over 50% AI. So all these things are going to AI, and the commerce really ties back to cryptocurrency too. It seems like cryptocurrency is a natural money for agents, right? Because it's like low friction to set up and use. And it also, agents can just surmount the complexity of setting up a wallet and handling passwords so easily.
Speaking about AI, talking to AI, it looks like X has become something like that, right? You see all these comments, you're like, oh man, come on. It's like, it really looks like all you guys just, they're just getting AI to respond to them. And it's almost, I would say it's like, or approaching the 50% mark, like, when especially the people. Huh? Sorry?
You think X is 50%?
I don't know. I mean, this is just like very anecdotal when I'm reading people's comments, right? And you're like, oh yeah, almost half of them are like, this is not that, this is that. Then we're like, fuck you, like, I don't want to listen to AI opinion.
You're absolutely right.
And you can see the structure in the comments sometimes too. It's very highly structured. Make some statement and then end with some inflammatory last line, right? It happens over and over. It could be more than 50%. Have you seen the social media just for agents, like Molt X and Molt Book and I don't know, Molt Road? There's all those kinds of things.
Wasn't that a bit exaggerated though?
A bit. I'm sorry. Say that again. It was.
Yeah, I think the first one with the OpenClaw social media. What was it called? Clawbook.
Molt Book. Yeah,
Molt Book. I think it came out a few weeks after it launched. That it was a bit faked out by the creator, where there were like seeded posts in there for like viral factors, and that it's was a bit of almost like a viral stunt.
Was it? Well, there's others now. There's a lot out there now. I think it's easy to spin one up, and people are doing it. Molt X is another one. Molt Book seems to go down a lot, right? Sometimes go there and check. It's kind of interesting to see. But didn't somebody bought it, right? Didn't somebody buy that Molt Book? I thought.
Yeah, in the end, it's really gonna feed that internet theory, where it was already a theory where people were saying that most of the internet is botted essentially in the comments. Usually you could tell before, like you go on the YouTube comment and you see all the people with the like obviously botted responses because someone bought comments for their videos. But now I would say even social media, sometimes I go and I can't really tell whether a comment is AI or not. You can tell if it's badly done. You can tell because there's obvious ways that the AI write, or turns of phrases that they're going to use, or the obvious em dash and things like that. But it really takes just a small prompt to get rid of that and make it sound more natural. So it's definitely gonna feed on that theory.
Well, if the business model of the internet itself is threatened, that's really the end of things when their business model becomes threatened. It could be that we transitioned over to more of an AI type interface to how we communicate with each other and do things. That we probably need to be open to that. And cryptocurrency is sure to play a big role in that. Though I think the traditional like Visa and those guys are working on it. They're trying to make it easier for agents to use their systems, but boy, it's hard to beat cryptocurrency, right? It's completely frictionless.
Yeah, it's
I think there's
better.
a big opportunity, a really big opportunity, and we should be embracing it.
Yeah, I agree, and we've seen even with the Klaba thing, lots of stories about people giving their credit card information to the Klaba, and it's just running wild with it. Whereas with cryptocurrency, you could more generally control what the AI has access to, what budget they can use, and how they use it. I remember maybe almost 10 years ago, a big narrative of the cryptocurrencies was that it's going to be the economy of the IoT, Internet of Things, and like people were all about like smart houses and having chips in your fire detector, and everything would like communicate in this like economy of micro things.
Right.
It never really came to be, but I kind of see the development of AI doing almost what was thought that the IoT would become.
Well, one thing AI definitely allows that kind of there was a lot of hope for and it fell apart, and it breathes new life into it, was the concept of micropayments. Remember, there was a time when everybody was big, micropayments, are going to rule the day. You pay just a little bit, like half a cent to view a web page or whatever, and it didn't take off. And I think it's generally believed it didn't take off because there's the problem with small payments is the thinking that has to go into making them like dwarfs their size, right? Yeah. So here's a payment of half a cent, but I have to, spend a minute or half a minute thinking about it. And what's that at a human hourly rate? It dwarfs the size of the transaction. So you can't really do it when you have to make the decision at the human level. But that's not true of agents. Agents can more cheaply make decisions on micropayments. And I think that there's a really good case that micropayments are coming and a good way of the future, a good way to do things. There's this new standard, what is it, X404 or something like that, that I think that's it, that like you can go and instead of like turning away bots, you just charge something to give them access, and that's sure to be big.
Yeah, well, I hope that we do have a better solution than the Lightning Network then for the fees, because that's kind of a showstopper as well. As if you're sending fractions of a cent as a micropayment, obviously you don't want the fee to be higher than that. And I think a lot of the narrative back then with the IoT was based on the assumption that the Lightning Network would become almost ubiquitous. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. So yeah, we'll definitely need a solution for the low fees as well.
Right. And privacy. Won't privacy be important?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ruben, please.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking, like, have you guys been experiencing any like AI related attacks or reports, stuff like that? Like, how is that actually affecting you on the day-to-day basis, right?
Well, I guess like on the attack side, I know like some websites just are under continuous attack now, right? I mean, I guess then it's to some degree they always were, but it's like next level these days. I don't know. You put up a website and it gets 100,000 attacks in a day or two. You really have to be on top of everything in a way you didn't before.
Oh, so just on the website side, like you're not getting attempts on the on the PIVX network itself or things like that?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know though. There may be something I'm not aware of. Or what are you seeing with Firo?
I mean, we're getting definitely a lot of bug submissions. Obviously some are real,
Oh
some are
yeah,
not.
definitely.
Right. Right.
But I mean, like we can look at it and we're just like, wow, sometimes it's a bit scary because first of all, we're kind of caught in a situation where we do want to incentivize, good bug report submissions, right? But a lot of these guys that are submitting, they're not even coders. They're just like, oh yeah, I ran this through an AI and here's the report. Can you tell me whether am I entitled to a reward or not? And I'm like, come on, like I mean, nowadays, you get better. You see this type of reports. So we've already made it a point to say that if you have AI use in your, in your submission, generally it's quite reasonably easy to tell, right? But obviously, someone that's really good can hide it, but that means they've already made effort, right? But here, a lot of times we can just say like they just ran a prompt, find bugs in Firo's thing, or look at something, and then they'll submit an MD file and they'll tell us, yeah, give us a bounty, and the AI tends to like play up a lot of stuff like, oh, this is critical, and on the one hand, we were thinking, oh, should we just shut down our bounty program, right? Because if everyone's just using AI, we can use AI too, right? To also just run all these things ourselves. But I don't know.
I guess at some
more,
point the LLMs are going to be finding real bugs, right? So do
yes,
you really want to shut down the bug bounty because of that? It's kind of a tough call because again, it's just the maintenance cost of just like having to go through these bug reports is immense.
yeah,
Like we had someone run Cloud Code on the basic swap repo, and yeah, just as you said, came up with like a big MD file with a critical like vulnerability that you could somehow, I think, like pull out of the swap and pull out with the other person money. And I sent it to our lead developer and was like, oh, for fuck's sake, that's gonna take like, because it looks very credible when you look at it. Like, you do the first read and you're like, oh shit, yeah, but you actually have to verify if it's actually a real bug. And he was just like, oh shit, that's gonna take like a whole day just to, like try to replicate it. Ultimately, it was nothing. It was kind of like a big hallucination, but um, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, that we're in this sort of in between phase where you could tell that the LLM was kind of understanding some parts of the code base, but the basic subcode base has grown kind of large, and it's maybe not the type of coding that the LLM is most trained on. So yeah, it sort of inferred like a big vulnerability that ultimately was not there because it wasn't properly understanding some relationships between the different components. But just having that bug report takes a day off of your own tasks and coding and stuff that you have to do. So do you really want to keep the bug bounty open or not? Yeah, it's kind of a tough call because you do feel that at some point it's going to get good enough for real bugs to be found. Pointed to that point, wasn't it this week that with the Mythos private release of the like super big, super powerful cloud model, I think some team took the model in 5 days, were able to break the new M5 chip from Apple. Or something
Right.
like that. That's
Saw
like a
that.
news that came out like 2 or 3 days ago.
Right. That just came out. Well, it seems like the answer there, and it ties back to Ruben, what you said earlier about the relative difficulty in like finding a problem or doing something versus judging it. Isn't the answer to have like AIs doing the judging on the bug bounties? Have a
now
system
that's now my process, right? Like when someone submits an AI AI thing, I ask the AI to verify it. Like, hey, before I bug my developers, like go and look at this and then tell me, is this something potentially legit? Only if like two of my AI say like, yeah, it's legit, and then I'll put it there. But it's very different than the formal verification stuff, which, I mean, it's what Vitalik's idea was that, yeah, obviously you can't do it on everything, because it's, although you can ask AI to generate a proof of you, setting the specs of those, like, what am I trying to prove, is quite challenging, especially in a complex program, right? So his idea was like, yeah, you have a very secure core, but then you have all these like edge implementations that may not be as secure, but at least like you are kind of, yeah, like more certain that the secure core is safe, right? So I'm not sure how, as a non-developer, how we would approach something like Firo. Like, isn't everything core? Like, yeah, maybe the UI is not core, but like the stuff that generates the transactions, that verifies the transactions, all of those are pretty core, right? So obviously, I mean, I just took a quick look at this article and haven't dived into it, but I just thought it was a interesting idea that I guess we should all look a bit further. Yeah.
Right. Possible way forward with all this, right?
Do you guys see the TOR-chain hack though? It's kind of like the exact
I
kind
didn't
of
see that. What happened there?
And so I think there was a vulnerability in their TSS stuff. I think they're still investigating. There was an issue with the MPC whereby I think like a new validator came on, and there was like enough leakage of the key that he managed to get enough shares of the key to kind of withdraw something like 10 million US dollars from it. So like right now
10.8.
Yeah, 10.8. And I think now they shut down the protocol. They're looking at the fix. Of course, some people, I mean, yeah, shit happens and whatnot. Some of the commentators, obviously, I'm just repeating what I've seen on X rather than actually verifying it myself. But people saying, "Oh yeah, look at the TOR-chain guys are vibe coding their way to a fix," right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're just like looking at it, and they said that they are doing, their whole team is on it, obviously, because the protocol is shut down. But it just kind of goes to show like, oh yeah, if something like formal verification would have caught this, and hopefully hopefully AI can patch it too. But I don't think it can be vibe coded. It definitely needs to be double checked. But I just thought it was like a interesting thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly the accusation that's going to be thrown around all the time now.
But vibe
they were
coding
using
is to blame.
vibe code.
It's going to be blamed
Yeah,
for
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
I mean, surely
But
as a
in fact,
developer,
it might be
you
the
kind
solution,
of tell, right? Can you tell? I mean, generally, when you look at a code that's being generated, I mean, if you're a senior dev, you generally get an idea whether this is vibe coded or not, right?
Yes, you get an idea. Now they say that I read there was a study. For a long time there was the Turing test, which was getting back to Alan Turing again. He proposed it as a test of intelligence, whether if you communicating with an artificial intelligence by text, you couldn't tell whether it was human or not reliably. That was the test, and it stood for a long time. But we've long blown past it, right? You can't. Not only can you not tell, but I read there was a recent study done. It was some academic study where they tested with the latest LLM models, and they actually found that the LLM models were more convincing than people that they were people. They actually, humans on the other side erred on favoring the LLMs as people over the real people. And so if we extend that test, and it seems reasonable to do that, not just like, English language, but to programming, which is just a different language, that would say that, maybe you can tell the difference, but could LLMs, make it so that you couldn't? It seems reasonable to say that they could, or they're going to be able to soon. You just won't be able to tell.
Well, I guess that's a
Why?
good thing when you reach that point. I mean, as long as if it can produce code that's as good as a senior dev or as good as a human, I guess ultimately the work gets done.
Right. Maybe in the end, that's the most important thing, right? How does it get done? Well, in this coming world of like where agents doing all the commerce and all the HTTP traffic, what are the important qualities of the cryptocurrencies that will succeed? I mean, are like smart contracts going to be more important? Is privacy going to be more important? Is speed more important? How does this like shift the playing field amongst all the many cryptocurrencies? Who gets the benefit?
Well, certainly a case by case or use case by use case basis, but I do see privacy as having even more of an importance now with AIs because um, it's going to become so trivial even for regular people to scan the blockchain. Right now, it's kind of delegated to tracing companies and government contractors where they want to trace transactions, and it's kind of obfuscated with the pseudonymous blockchain and everything. But I do see in the very near future, if it's maybe it already exists, but tools that make it very trivial to trace and identify transactions and link them to specific users and things like that. And it's probably going to be testing a lot of the privacy protocols to their limits as well, because the good thing with the LLMs is that they're very persistent. They will work 24/7 if you set them on a task or different tasks, and they don't get tired. So you send them on a private blockchain and try to break it, and you try enough stuff, and if there's a vulnerability, eventually it's going to be found. So yeah, I do see that it's going to be pushing lots of the privacy protocols to their limits. But if you do get a protocol that sustains the attacks or the attempts to break it, then it becomes very, very valuable, because the whole point of AI is that it tries to capture as much data as possible for the training. But you do still have lots of situations where you want to keep your financial information private. And even if we do get to a point where crypto and AI merge more together, kind of like what we were discussing earlier, with maybe replacing the idea of the IoT before, like the all connected economy, then you're definitely gonna want to protect your financial information, because otherwise it all becomes kind of like part of the very easily publicly accessible information. So for me, uh, crypto's relevance with I think the most relevant thing about it, for me at least, is the privacy part of it.
Right. Right. I agree. Privacy is important. What do you think, Ruben?
I don't know. I mean, we're all biased.
We are. We're a tough crowd.
But yeah, I mean, I totally agree that AI is one of this. Like, I guess it's not just. Yeah, I guess it is AI. Is the way that you can now at scale, collate information and compile information from different sources in a very easy way. And I guess this is the kind of shit that, like, Palantir does, right? So I think it's even more so, obviously, like, with privacy cryptocurrency, we only solving a small part of that equation. I mean, obviously there's like communications, our social media footprint, and our use of mobile phones. But at the same time, I do think like money infrastructure is really important. And you definitely, if we actually believe that crypto is something that should exist, which I do, even though it's gotten such a bad rap, and it's more of like, sometimes it just feels like our industry is more of like a casino and degen people, and people wearing big heavy gold chains and going, oh yeah, let's hold, and we all gonna make it and shit like that. I mean, that's unfortunately the kind of you see a lot of smart people, and they, despite all the stuff that we do, they're like, no, I'm not touching cryptocurrencies. And it's not because cryptocurrency is inherently bad, but it's just that whole crypto bro culture, right? But yeah, anyway, I digress. But I do think that what we're building is really important. But so I think it's understated. Like, people don't see the benefit of privacy cryptocurrencies unless you are a heavily sanctioned nation state, which again is not a good narrative for us.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, with AI, I think just thinking about it, having privacy on your blockchain is almost mandatory now, because if you don't have it and AI makes it so easy to track transactions, is it all that better than just using credit card, where at least the system is closed source? Yes, your whole data is exposed to MasterCard or Visa and their partners, but at least it's not to the whole wide web, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
sure seems like it makes privacy more important, right? Because I mean, threats like you mentioned, CryptoGuard from everybody. Now everybody can run some of the same analysis that that only the big guys used to be able to run, but also just from a decentralizing power perspective, right? AI centralizes power, and we need to like have some piece that we can pull back and keep ourselves, and so it's healthier there. I think another thing that we need to keep an eye on with AI getting better so rapidly is vulnerability of algorithms. Can't we expect AI to help accelerate quantum computers, for example? Can't we expect it to help accelerate traditional ways to crack cryptography? I think all of those are going to increasingly be under threat too. So it's good to, for example, build in ways to change and adapt with new algorithms as needed to be ready for what's coming.
Yeah, it can definitely help with that. I mean, at this point, LLMs are basically the worst that they'll ever be from now into the future. So I always go from a position right now that if it's not possible right now, it's definitely something that's going to be possible in the future given enough time.
Right.
Kind of like interesting where, in a way it's like bugs are scary, but bugs on immutable on-chain contracts where like North Korea can like drain you and stuff are scarier. But especially for privacy coins, when we have bugs wrapped in ZK proofs, a lot of time these exploits can become invisible, right? So that's really scary as well.
It's true. That's true. You don't even know unless it happens to you. It has to happen to you for you to know about it. Yeah.
The point I mean is like some people use it as an argument against privacy coins, right? They're saying that, oh yeah, at least with Bitcoin or with all this other stuff, we can see when shit goes wrong. But with privacy coins, it's a lot tougher, right? So yeah, it's a trade-off. Let's be honest about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been one of Monero's biggest skeptical criticism was if there's ever like a coin inflating exploit or something similar, you wouldn't really be able to tell. Of course, there are ways that probably you can tell something is wrong, but it definitely makes it more difficult than say Bitcoin or even a coin with like two layers, one public, one private.
Well, that's where the benefit of like basic swap, and if we look at future where all the various blockchains are more integrated, then you can move back and forth to like get whatever feature you need, right? If you want like security against hidden vulnerabilities, you can park it in Bitcoin, and if you want to spend it without somebody knowing that all these various transactions are tied to you, you can move it over to a privacy coin.
Dr. Cup is here.
Is he? Great.
Yeah, he just came. So we're about 1 minute away from ending.
Hey, Cap, you have enough time to say hi.
You in the chat? I saw him in the chat. I'm not sure if he's.
I added him to the room, but maybe he doesn't have his mic plugged. Yeah, time zone issues for Dr. Cap. Happens.
Worries. Anyway, any closing thoughts? I think we're hitting on the hour. Yeah.
Um, Not really. I guess I'm not sure if you didn't finish your point, Ruben, or I maybe didn't catch it, but what's your policy right now when you have bug reports submitted via AI? Is it that you need to disclose it in the bug report?
Yeah, you need to disclose it in the bug report. You need to verify it, and then if we find that you didn't do any work to check it, basically we'll ban you from submitting future proofs of submission, right? Obviously, you can come up with a new pseudonym and stuff like that, but we're trying to discourage as much as possible, right? And I think generally, I mean, I wouldn't even respond to something that just says, oh yeah, I generated this using AI, unless there's some proof that they actually looked through it. Of course, even though I may not respond to it, it's just more I don't encourage it. I'm still running everything through an AI to like, is this bot real and stuff like that, right? And if my
Yep.
AI reports still say that, oh yeah, this is legit and whatnot, I will like still raise it to my developer. But then I'm not going to warrant those that unless you actually did the work to verify the bug yourself and not just ask AI to do it. I'm not going to, it doesn't warrant the response. And I think that's already stated in our updated bug bounty policy, which I think is fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you see similar uptick in proposal submissions? Because I'm not sure if you still run this, but I know you guys had a CCS system last time I checked. Do you guys have like lots of submissions for quick proposals or things like that that obviously are like quick LLMs wins?
Oh, actually, no, we haven't been seeing that. So that's interesting. We getting like bug reports almost like, I don't know, like five a week or something like that. But then in terms of proposals to improve Firo, not so much. I mean, we got some legit ones like building an additional explorers. Maybe they're doing some part of it vibe coded, but we're not getting it like, oh yeah, every we're probably getting like 1 or 2 a month. So I don't think that's a huge issue for us. Yeah.
Okay, because I was talking to for an XMR who joined in the last episode. He was saying
Yeah,
that
that's
they're
right.
getting completely flooded with like lots of proposals of things that are obviously LLMs, and it makes
Because they
you
know the
managing the.
CCS has money while Firo doesn't have a lot.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Much we have.
Yeah,
All
well,
right, guys.
that's pretty much it on my end. Yeah, and do you have something to add?
No, yeah, so, good discussion. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and happy to finally have a stream that didn't crash or bug, mid-time. So definitely going to be using
Right.
that setup
Awesome.
from now on.
I have a nicer background.
Yeah. Let's work on it.
All right. Have a good one,
Cool.
everyone. Thanks for coming,
Yeah,
guys. And
likewise,
follow
and
our
thanks for
Good
Twitter.
joining,
talking.
everyone.